Well, welcome everybody. It's so great to see you all. I'm super excited today. I've got two of my favorites on this call. They're going to talk to us about I would say kind of a continuation of the technology strategy I think we've heard about from Doorify for the last several months on lots of neat things that they're doing. And BPP is up to some killer stuff. I don't know how many people you've shown it to yet, Dan, but after this, probably a few more are going to want to see it. It's really good stuff. So. I'm going to jump in. For those that don't know, I'm Marilyn Wilson, founder and CEO of Wave Group. We work a lot with MLSs of all sorts all over the country. And I kind of see my goal as trying to help MLSs really see where the future's going and prepare themselves for that. And that whether that be from a governance perspective, an ownership perspective, evaluation, a strat planning, research, all of the above, right? And this is one core component. I love BPP. I'm really glad to see it coming back around again and doing some really cool stuff. And I love to see MLSs that are shooting for the stars. So that's what we're here to do. So first, Matt Fowler, CEO of Doorify, Dan Troop, CEO of Broker Public Portal, or BPP, as some are noted as. I know that you guys are announcing some really exciting new news about the first, I think, strategic investor in BPP in several years. So I'm hoping it's the beginning of a whole new round of investment energy and support because it's a really cool idea. So, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it? Maybe start at the beginning of what is Doorifying doing for those that haven't been following all your media coverage for the last 8 months or so, all the cool stuff you're doing, and then how
Yeah.
does BPP fit within that realm?
Yeah, gosh, thanks, Marilyn. And I'm glad to be here with my buddy Dan today. We do have an ownership announcement coming out where Dorify's board elected to take an ownership position in BPP. I don't think it will be the the last time you hear that. It may have been a minute since the last one, but as soon as we heard about what Dan was doing, we really saw it as a piece that would fit really well into our ecosystem. I really look at what Dan's done with the new BPP as a sharp tool that's readily available for me to solve a specific problem that I had, or a path to market that the technology provided to me. The devil's really here is in the details, and exactly how Dan and BPP have put this together from a governance perspective. You've already mentioned
Hmm.
their go-to-market strategy, their technology um, just fits really well into our strategic vision. I don't think
Hmm.
that's an accident. I think it's because we've all been invested in standards for many years. This
Hmm.
is the harvest from all of that work. And I believe that the vendors that we're familiar with in the space um, maybe haven't had a clear incentive to open those walled gardens and to allow innovation to occur. And that's what we're trying to do at Door5, is to be less of a chooser, less of a gatekeeper, and to allow technology to come in. That's where choice comes from, and allow ideas that we didn't have to flourish. And the way a BPP is structured, I think it gives us a fantastic platform to solve first some real problems across North Carolina, and deliver a better, more complete and accurate and consistent data product to our participants. I think we can do that in the near term, and that's just super exciting to see uh, our partners in Canopy down in Charlotte and other leading MLSs around the country investing in this platform, and in this, not just the platform but the concept. BPP is a tool to do this, and we see it as a really exciting time. It's a disruptive time. I think consistency has been a feature uh, um, in products like um, the major MLS products that we know about. One of the things that my subscribers love about those is that they don't change, and that's a valid uh, um, use case that I'm not challenging. But because of the way we built the system, we can put something that's maybe an LLM powered natural language interface right next to that legacy system, and allow people to to acquire the technology that meets them where they are. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be the chooser there. I'm not saying it has to be this one or this one. I lower the barrier to entry, and Dan's technology is going to let us expand on that.
Awesome. So I'm going to step back for 1 second. Maybe Dan, can you explain what a strategic investor, what that means and how that works?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Marilyn. Appreciate you having me on the call, and
Hmm.
glad we could do this at this time, and excited to have Matt join us here at the Broker Public Portal. Um, it, the Broker Public Portal, when I was first looking at it, when I was invited to interview for the CEO position, I didn't know a lot about it either, or the history. So I had a big learning process around the governance. And ultimately, it's what the government's kind of attracted me to it. We have almost 100 owners now, as is, or unit
Hmm.
holders. You can purchase a single share in the BPP. Everyone has a single share. Um, and it's basically, Matt raising his hand that we believe in this technology. We want to be a part of it. The governance of it, really is aligned to not put us in situations we've been in before, where we invest in underlying technology and that technology gets, as I think a current term would be, rug pull on the industry, right?
Yeah.
So it's set up in a way that we can maintain the sovereignty of our technology, and that we are aligned with brokers and MLS to deliver technology, and the uniqueness of that governance allows us to do that. It allows us, without the threat of something else, we're going to be purchased, right? Or where do the profits go of this organization? How do we
Hmm.
raise money? All of that's really clearly defined in our governance. And kudos to the folks who set that up. I wasn't a part of that when I was back in 2014, 2015 when that was set up. So I applaud them, and I applaud the brokers and MLSs that have already stepped up a long time ago. And it's
Hmm.
exciting to see this wave of new people come on and say, you've built some great technology. I had to build the technology first. Say, we want to be a part of this. And, Matt and I have been having many conversations about what this looks like. He's been helping me shape what this looks like. And so a lot of what you're going to see come from the BPP over the next few months here is feedback we've gotten from not only our shareholders, but outside of our space, talking to as many people as I can to say, what does the industry need? What do brokers need? And really,
Hmm.
that's what we're focused on right now. I do have a slide that talks about our BHAG, our big, hairy, audacious goal, which is a
Hmm.
crazy Hail Mary, right? It's a far throw, but we are marching towards that. And we want to help MLSs and brokers implement technology in minutes, not months. And that's going to change a fundamental underlying change in the way we treat our data, the way we give access to our data. And I think Matt's really bought in on that piece, and I'm excited about that piece, and we call that piece search as a service on our side. So giving alternative methods to bring startups into the space, anybody, broker technology tools into the space, especially in this time frame today, right? What we're seeing today. But I couldn't do any of this if it wasn't for the work that has gone, as Matt has said, this is the outcome of the work that's happened at RESO. I would say the work that's happened at CMLS too, around policy, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
pushing us towards as an industry around these standards. And we're seeing the results of that today.
That's amazing. Um, Yeah, that's really, I love where I see all of you guys going. So, Matt, you mentioned something about how you believe that BPP may, even in the shorter term, be able to solve the data problems you have in the state of North Carolina. Can you maybe explain a little bit about what you mean by that and the role you see BPP may be able to play in that?
Or I think the what I was referring to, Maryland, is this patchwork that exists across the country. There's 500 and something
Mm-hmm.
MLS, and just in the RESO membership,
Mm-hmm.
11, I think, in North Carolina. And I'm looking at MLS like a business,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at what my customers buy and what they buy from other people. And
Mm-hmm.
my customers buy data from other people,
Okay.
my data,
Mm-hmm.
and they buy it from people that get it from all 11, normalize it, sort of, put it into a new table, and resell that back to the big brokers who have offices in lots of cities.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, to do that across the country, I can't. my brain doesn't stretch that far, but I can maybe stretch across North Carolina, and we
Mhm.
can go and create a new simple license that says, look, we're going to put everything in the BPP box,
Mhm.
and it's going to be um, a new repository that is MLS managed, owned, controlled. We have fee simple interest in that data, not a leasehold interest in that data, as we always have as an industry. And that's a new product that I'm going to be able to go to the big brokers that are my customers and say, I can provide you better, faster, more accurate sub-second latency data in RESO standard plus local format, farm to table versus shipped from out of state or the country. And that's a very viable alternative. BPP gives me a platform to that's already up and running, already has some of the data sets that we're already talking about as partners present in there for testing at least. And we can go to market with something this year and be able to have those phone calls where um, I can redirect the attention of my biggest brokers back local for this data.
I love farm to table data. I'm going to steal that one. That's a good one. That's awesome. I
No,
do
it's,
want to come back
You
to
have to give credit to Matt to that one though. Like
but
that.
it
when you
Okay,
say
I
but
it,
it
love
at
it.
least
fits
the first 3 times.
I
it
will
fits the
definitely do
image
that.
though, right? It fits the
No, I
image.
love
You want
it.
to shop local, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that MLSs can really lean into from an optics standpoint.
So
Can I ask Matt a question? I don't mean to take over this. I have a
go for
question
it.
for Matt on that.
Go for
Like,
it.
you know, these conversations have been happening a lot right around um, uh, less and less MLSs. But how do we get there, or how do we get to less and less sources of the data? And I'm not saying that correctly. I think there's a better way to say that. I just can't think of it right
Mm,
now. But
mm.
not lose that localization or that. I think there's some really great localizations of data, right? That
Yeah,
even wild stuff that doesn't matter, but
sure,
really matters locally. And
sure.
everyone's like, we need less MLSs, but I think I don't want to lose the aspect of that localization of the data that
Well,
may mean something in your marketplace.
yeah. I think I have the answer to that, Dan. We had a podcast recently with my other buddy Dan from Daniel from Hive.
Yeah.
And I look at this as something that might actually increase the membership of those small MLSs. I don't want to um, like sterilize the data through standardization. I don't think we have to do that. But if you can accept this metaphor that Daniel and I were using of a movie theater, there's 11 movie theaters metaphorically in North Carolina, 11 separate MLSs. And what I'm saying with our new license is that if you want to see 11 movies, you have to buy 11 tickets. So if you bought a ticket to Canopy and you bought a ticket to Doorify and you come in the door, your API key is going to give you two MLS responses. And we're going to tell you, hey, you've got a bunch of holes in your data in North Carolina because you don't belong to Central Carolina or Boone or name your other one.
Right.
And I want to surface those MLSs and say, hey, if you want to fill in the gaps in your coverage in North Carolina, here are people that are in our data set. We can offer MLS membership into these MLSs uh, and surface their presence and their value through this licensing agreement I'm talking about. It's not data share, it's data pooling. So we're pooling our data into a new,
Mhm.
more valuable data set. And there's a piece of secret sauce here, Dan. If we ingest all of the consumer preference data points, we're currently doing that en masse at Doorify. We connect to tons of APIs and pull hit counts, open saves, likes back into our data set. And we've produced an engagement score. So I can tell you on every listing that's in my IDX feed how it's doing, including Zillow click-through percentages. So we're going to start coaching people on how to make their listing look better, more like the ones that are getting the high click-through percentages. That
Mhm.
data exists in your data set as a subscriber to the new feed I'm talking about. And it doesn't exist anywhere else. It's our blue ocean. So I don't see this as challenging to those MLSs. I actually see it as value adding to those MLSs because I'm not asking for their data for my subscribers for free.
Mhm.
I'll never show their data to someone who isn't their subscriber in that data set. And we can do that easily with the keys. It's a very simple RESTful API solution.
So I'm going to ask a different question about strategic investor, and you're bringing up the smaller MLSs kind of keys into this. We all know the players that are getting lots of coverage about, they have their own technology company, they're spending millions on this or whatever, right? So there's a few big MLSs that are leaning in to be their own technology builders.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot more out there that are not ever going to do that, and frankly, probably never should do that. But can you kind of explain, because you're kind of somewhere in the middle, right? You've built software before, you had your own MLS company, you understand how this stuff works.
Yeah,
See how your board might say, hey, just go build it again for us. You know how to do it, right? But what I'm
right.
hearing is you're saying you're not going to be the developer of BPP. You're going to partner with someone that's allowing you to have ownership of that without having to own the whole darn thing and doing it in a way that's affordable. Is that right? Like
Yeah,
for
this
smaller MLSs could buy in potentially to BPP.
Yeah, I do think it makes a lot more sense to join something, bigger than you are. We're top 40 in the country, but I still only have 30 employees. Half of them
Mhm.
are help desk, right?
Right, right.
So I know what it looks like to build,
Hmm.
maintain, and extend software platforms, and that's not what I have at Doorify.
Right.
Um, what we have though is the ability to do advanced integration
Hmm.
where we're going to build a hub and we're going to build an ecosystem around it where it's easy, like in an app store kind of environment, to have products come and go. And this has, not been successful in the past. I was product owner of the Spark platform at FPS while I was at
Yep.
FPS, and
Yep.
it's an enormous slog to get 6% participation. Um,
Correct.
I think that uh, that every idea has its day, and
Hmm.
this may or may not be the right time for what we're trying to do. But
Hmm.
I know because of my history and our history at RISO, um, my time at FBS, my time in my own software company, we have the tools to do what we need to do to bring choice to brokers. I knew that when I got the job at Doorify and offered that as a strategic path forward. The board kind of understood what we were talking about, but loved the choice idea. And
Hmm.
it's been enormously disruptive, Marilyn. I have a maybe 2 star out of 5 rating among the Doorify participants today, June 30th, because of a transition that we did November 2023. Okay, so this has a
Wow.
they remember it's like, I don't know, hip transplant surgery or something, and they're still getting over it. It's they blame me for all of that, and um, I'm fine with that. I'm saying this to you because I want MLS directors out there around the country to do have the courage to go full native so that you
Mhm.
can do real things with your data. I know you're not going to have a CRMLS budget. No one has Art's budget, but
Right.
you have a big enough budget to create a simple functional copy of your data set in an API that's RISO certified and accessible. That is not an enormous lift to do that these days. You can hire a contractor to do that. You can participate in BPP and be part owners of a platform that has a, like a different and new and forward-looking approach to data access with the no replication search on demand as Dan was just describing it, um, search as a service, excuse me. That makes a whole lot of sense going forward for
Yeah.
those for the engagement metric reasons. For that alone is a big enough reason to have your data set local and accessible and monitored all the time, so you know what's going on with the
Yeah.
consumer engagement. And that's just it's a forward looking approach to market. So that's why we're really betting on it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you're taking it to another level, but Dan, I just want those that are watching this to understand strategic investor sounds scary. It sounds like there's millions of dollars involved. That's not really what we're talking about here. And we're really talking about creating a nationwide MLS collaboration so that everybody can be better and they can be better in the way they want to be better, right? So if it wants to be DorifyMLS.com, they can do that. If they want to be part of a larger brand that's a nationwide brand, they can do that. If you want to be a broker and be part of this, you can do that, right? It gives you the flexibility, but it does it at a place where, because I do a lot of strategic plans, and there's a lot of companies that think they might want to own and build their own software. And the more that we talk about it, the more we kind of, to your point, kind of talk them out of that. It's not really their strength necessarily, and really shouldn't be. You're really customer service if you're an MLS. But this gives you that chance to participate in something much bigger than yourself that can provide you with really interesting value at the local level and at the national level. But it's not going to be breaking the bank. It's a reasonable amount of investment. Right. Anyway, okay, Matt, one other question for you, and then I'll let you run. You talked about in the press release tech sovereignty, and I think you're kind of describing what that means. But
Mhm.
take that back to, those that are not as deep in technology as you are. And what does that mean? And really, what's the why? Why is tech sovereignty important? And what role does
Yeah.
BP help you in achieving that goal?
Yeah, let me see if I can answer that. I think I can answer that real briefly, Marilyn, with a very quick story. When I started at Doorify, it was Triangle back then. Alan Nielsen, our longtime vice president of MLS, and I were in a meeting, and I asked him, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? I kept going through these things,
Mm-hmm.
and his answer well, let me ask Terry at Black Knight. Well, let me ask Terry at Black Knight. Well, let me ask Terry at Black Knight over and over again. I got really mad. I was like, would you stop saying that? Um, um, like we just go to Terry for every last thing. And he looked at me like I didn't know how to speak English. And he said, well, yeah, we don't have any capacity really to do that. They do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from a place where I ran my own software company for 20 years, and that's where the oil hit the water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't understand what you're talking about. And
Right.
we have leasehold, I said this earlier, interest in our data. If all we do is go like look at it with someone, if we don't have the simple our own key to our data, then we don't legitimately own it. So I needed the ability to bring in uh, um, to innovate at the speed of innovation, not at the speed of this single company
Gotcha.
that we were married with.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as we were describing a minute ago, we're about to bring in a product called Sidekick, and Sidekick is a natural language interface to a RAG model. Read about that more at dorifymls.com. But it's a very advanced way to interact with the data that my old vendor hasn't developed, may never. And that means that there's 15,000 people in North Carolina that didn't have access, or the easy access to this technology, and we were the gatekeepers for that. So what sovereignty
Gotcha.
means is the ability to have legitimate ownership of your data, so that you can offer that data in a standardized way to anyone that you might want to do business with.
I love that because I hate to say it, but sometimes there's a conflict of interest, right? You see something really exciting that you want to bring in
Yeah.
for your market, and somehow that the master developer, if you will, doesn't see the value in that, doesn't see why you should
Hmm.
may think of it as competitive to them, and it can slow you
Yep.
down. So you're absolutely right. So it's the simple idea is you own your own data, you have your own data curated, so then you can distribute it, add to it, move it around, do as you see fit, obviously with broker permissions and things like that. But you're really more in the driver's seat as opposed to sending it off to a third party. And even though, Dan, you are a third party, you're a kind of a different kind of third party because these guys own you, so they can
That's
influence
right.
what goes on. Is that a fair summation of the relationship?
Yeah, I think the Broker Public Portal has a strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
Providing search as a service is part of our strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
I know a strategic investor in the Broker Public Portal may sound scary, as you stated before, but it's
Yeah.
buying a unit in the BPP, which is the same as our governance has always been. And we have a lot of unit holders today. And I don't want to say the squeaky wheel gets the grease here, but I would say interact with us. What is the industry looking for? What are you looking for? I think
Mm-hmm.
that determines what our future holds for us, the more that make requests for certain things. But I think our path is very clear that we're on as a trusted partner of the MLS and of brokers, and that this is a place where you're going to send your data to. It's going to be safe and secure and not used outside of this for any other use case besides what I authorize as an MLS or as a broker. We do see it as a broker MLS partnership that uh, sharing our strategic vision where we're headed is to empower people in minutes, not months. And to start with that, does involve very nerdy stuff like APIs that Matt has been talking about. But in the meantime, we do have other things in which we're showcasing those search as a service, like our own portal and our own search that we can implement at MLS level to really, one of the things that gets us with this, Marilyn, is to raise the level to what technology looks like for an MLS and for a broker. That is what consumers expect. And so trying to raise that level, things you would not expect us to have, we want to have those. So when you introduce a consumer to your site, to Doorify, to a brokerage website, they go to it and they have a great experience. And that's all part of that search as a service platform. And how we use it outside of that is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see how Matt uses it. I can't wait to see how our other unit holders, shareholders use it. And that's what the future looks like for us. I say this a lot. We want to be a crane that builds a crane, and we want to be that platform in which Matt envisions it and he uses it and utilizes it, and we want to support him as much as possible.
Yeah, that's so different than where BPP was the first time around, where it was kind of like, you can have any color you want as long as it's black, going back to the old Ford analogy, right? There was one solution, it was done one way with one brand. That's exactly the opposite of what you're building now. And again, when I talk to so many MLSs, they want to provide value to their brokers. They want to provide search that is competitive and that does feel really good and that, consumers will clap for and say, this is amazing. They just don't have the capability of doing that. So to me, what I love about what's happening here is you're allowing every MLS of any size to be able to be rock stars with the search. And we know, by the way, search is the most important thing on broker websites, MLS websites, all of the websites, right? So of course, start with the thing that matters the most, and then have, as Matt said, that backbone of data that's being curated exactly the way the industry has decided to do that after 25 plus years of reso development. So it's leveraging all of that stuff. For those that don't know, I'm going to brag about Dan for a minute. If you're not a resoite, Dan was pretty much the only broker in the room for about 10 years at reso. He would be the one that was raise his hand. He would win hackathons. He's just always been the best at connecting the dots between standards, what MLSs are capable of doing, and what brokers need them to do. So I think you're the perfect person for this job. I think
it's why I selected it. Like finally, I think I have a platform to kind of make that change happen.
Yeah.
And I love search. We all love search, whether it's agents searching for homes or consumers searching for homes. And I think what's so unique, what we have in the United States, and we want to continue to improve that and put the agent on the forefront of consumers, put the broker in forefront of consumers through our partnerships with the MLS. And so we're excited about the future here with Doorify. We're excited about the future with all of our unit holders. And I encourage you to reach out to see what we're doing and hear about what we're doing. Or don't take my word for it. Ask Matt. He'll tell you.
Absolutely.
I might
Yeah,
lie to you. Matt won't lie to you.
Let me
You're not gonna lie to
close. Let me close real quickly, Marilyn, if I can, with some encouragement. I was just saying how hard it was and my 2-star rating and all that. But we are starting to get credit for the things that we've done. And the most direct thing that I have found lately is when I go talk to brokers and I tell them that the app in their customer's pocket can go off faster than any other app in the App Store, and that territory is not lost. You think it is, but you can still operate in that environment where you can be the expert because you're fastest. And that's an elusive thing, being the fastest. But at Doorify, we now measure this, and the new platforms that we've turned on are a couple of seconds, and they're beating the ones that we get complained about all the time, which I won't mention on our interview today. But you know, the few I'm talking about, who always seem to be first. Well, our MLS provided tech is actually tracking ahead of that right now,
That's amazing.
ahead of all the MLS front ends and the portals, of course. And that's what standards and this investment in automation can really do.
Love it. Okay, so if someone does want to learn more about how to be a strategic investor, do they reach out to you, Dan? How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me, Dan at brokerpublicportal.com.
Okay.
And I'm happy to even, if you want to text me or call me, we'll put my phone number in the notes.
Okay.
Yeah, reach out to us. Would love to. Or if you are a current shareholder and you haven't got an update in a while or you haven't heard from me, feel free to reach out. Love to chat on how you can implement technology like we've built for all of our shareholders locally for you.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping on this call, telling us the vision and what you're doing. I'm hoping that, like you said, Matt, this is just the first of many additional investors and people that are already in it that are going to re-up and really get excited about it. So it's exciting to see national collaboration and cooperation that really, I think, is going to be good for everyone. So good stuff. Congrats for both of you.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you
Marilyn.
so much, everybody. More to come.